Shannon Fedler here, ad director for NYVT Media, joined by Abby Hunter, and this is episode 1 of our brand new podcast, Nobody Puts Abby in a Corner. So hello, Abby.
Hello.
So super excited to start this series. We are working with this beautiful young lady. She's got a super cool, interesting story to tell. She's local here. She is from Poultney, Vermont, and she's currently going to, well, it was Castleton University when you started, right? But now it is Vermont
State University.
Okay, Vermont
at
State
Castleton.
University. Gotcha. All right, cool. In 19 short years, you have a lot going on and a lot of things that have kind of molded you into who you are today.
Yes.
We're going to let you tell us a little bit about yourself, but really the purpose of this series is because you have a beautiful story and you have a sad story, right? So together that just makes you really in depth. You've been in performances, dance, theater, singing, beauty pageants, national competitions, but you've also overcome a lot of bullying in your time. So let's go back, right? So would you say, did your introduction to beauty and pageantry start first, or did your bullying start first?
The bullying definitely started first, and then me getting into the pageants and beauty pageants kind of evolved out of that and kind of became my outlet for me to connect with other people who had similar interests as me.
And how did you get introduced to that? How did you find that as an outlet?
It kind of really went over time like a snowball effect. I wasn't really sure about it at first. And then as I kept kind of doing them and discovering different things about pageants and what they involve, it just kind of grew from there. I don't even really have an actual answer. I just grew to love them and they became a part of me.
And how old were you?
I was, I believe, 8 when I did my first pageant.
And what was the first pageant?
It was called Sunburst. It was down in Georgia. I had no idea what I was doing, no clue. It was not a it was an interesting time, but I've definitely grown since.
Okay. And what did you do? Was it your typical, you had to have a talent and you had to have some fashion? Like, what did that pageant look like?
It was, I feel like the pretty stereotypical pageant that most people think of. It had a gown and it had like a fun fashion thing, and I had a talent. And yeah, I think those were the 3 major ones that were there.
What was your talent?
I danced. I don't exactly remember what it was, but I did dance.
Okay, awesome. So that was when you were 8, you said, and that was in Georgia. Okay. And how did you finish?
I did not place at
You
all.
didn't. Okay. All right. But you got the bug. So what made you try again?
I believe from what I remember, the organization invited me back. And then it went for a second year. Didn't really do much better. And then somehow my mom found it. It was on it's different organization called East Coast USA. And I've been with them ever since, repeatedly on and off years. And it's like a nice place to go back home to every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. So interesting. So you said the bullying came first. So that makes you feel like really bad about yourself and it makes you question things. But typically you would think somebody who wanted to get involved with the pageant would feel good about themselves or have confidence in themselves. So again, I guess I come back to the question, like, why? How? Like, what motivated you to say, yes, I want to do this?
I think really being Poultney is such a small town and everyone knows everyone and everyone knows everything that's going on. And I think being away from all of that and separating myself in a different sense that no one really around here does, it kind of made me have my own separate personality almost that I felt was more natural to me as a 8-year-old child. And I just found myself being able to connect with all of those people more. And I guess I really just thought, why not give it a chance? And I'm glad I did.
Yeah. So how many pageants were you in before you started finishing?
quite a lot.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to win one, but I don't even really know that number.
So a good handful then.
Yeah, it would definitely was not a first couple of tries type of thing.
So you kept persevering. Nobody put Abby in a corner.
Nobody put Abby in a corner.
So coming back home from those experiences, like it was positive and it was fun. And even though you didn't win, you still liked it.
Mhm.
How did that translate when you came home then? How did people react to you or treat you any differently after that?
Yeah, I think another stereotypical thing with like pageants is people think that girls and women that do them are so stuck up. And I was then bullied for being in a pageant, for thinking apparently so highly of myself that I was competing in a beauty pageant. And I didn't really understand it at the time. I just wanted to do something fun. And I don't really know. It's just, yeah.
So people probably reacted the way you expected them to, but you
Yeah.
still just kept going.
Hmm.
When did you place in your first pageant?
The first pageant that I ever actually placed at was for Miss Vermont's Outstanding Teen. It was the first one that I ever actually really won. At the other systems that I did, I would win Miss Congeniality, Miss Spirit, which I mean, those in and above itself are amazing. It's something about me as a person and my character, but and I've like won talent awards. But being Miss Vermont's Outstanding Teen really validated all of the hard work that I've put in towards my speaking skills and walking on a stage and my talent. And it just kind of made me feel really good about it after so many years of hard work of walking on a stage and dancing that I felt like everything was fit together like a puzzle pretty much.
And so talk a little bit about what did go into that. How did you prepare yourself? How was that different from the other pageants? Obviously it meant so much to you to win, but it meant way more to win that in particular. So what went into getting there?
So for Miss Vermont's teen, I had to come up with at the time, it was called the Social Impact Initiative. And mine was pursue the arts, building acceptance, respect, tolerance, and safety. And it was about making sure that everyone had access to the arts, music, band, dance. And I hadn't really done that with any of my other pageants. I hadn't really made a platform for myself, which I think is really what sent the preparation process between them really different. And the fact that I cared about Miss Vermont's teen, not slightly more because I cared about them both, but I thought in my brain that this was a much bigger deal than all my other ones were in the past. And I was correct.
Mhm. So what did make you keep going? Like to strive to win or just because you were having fun along the way?
I think really just because I was having fun. I mean, winning is great. I don't think anyone will ever say that they don't want to win. But when you're at a pageant, I've never seen female camaraderie except when you're in a pageant room at a competition. There's just young women everywhere supporting you in every single corner. And it's a positive environment that you don't really experience many other places than in that one specific area. And so, yeah, winning is great, but it's really all the friendships and the memories that I made that always made me want to keep going back.
So it wasn't what some people might stereotype as just a bunch of snotty beauty queens,
Right.
which
Absolutely not.
would be that's a big surprise, like I would imagine most people have that impression,
Mm-hmm.
which is why then when you came back to the real world, people
Mm-hmm.
weren't treating you any differently because that just it didn't
No,
help their
just
impression of you
further.
already.
No.
Did you try to do anything to change their impression to describe to them or make them understand, or did you just kind of just let them think what they think?
I tried for sure, but there are some people that are so stuck in the brain about that a beauty pageant and the girls are the way that it is. And you can't really get them to change it sometimes if that's just their morals and their ideals are about it. But you can try.
Mm-hmm. Now that was just last year, right?
Yeah, that was just last year.
So what's next for you in the pageant world?
I am actually going to be competing for Miss Vermont in 2024 in April. So I'm super excited.
So what's the preparation for that look like?
So currently I am awaiting for my local title that I will be competing with. And then I'm going to start doing mock interviews and going around the state as a local title holder, doing appearances and finalizing my new CSI. It has a different name now, and preparing my talent. Don't really know what any of those things entail yet, but they are being worked on.
Okay. And do you travel all over the country for that, or is it just throughout the state, or how does that work?
This is just traveling throughout the state. And I think with our local titles is kind of in our area. Like when I was Miss Rutland County's outstanding teen back in 2022, I focused majority of my time in Rutland County doing things. And so I think a lot of the local titles are kind of consolidated to your area of where you are. You can go other places, of course. I was invited up north, but I think a lot of them is kind of based where you're located.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now your talent, you would be sticking to dance, you're just not sure what kind of dance, or could you completely switch things up?
I think I'm sticking to dance. I haven't completely decided what style yet, but I knew that if I was ever going to compete at Miss America, I'd want it to be dancing. So I'd want to dance at Miss Vermont to win.
So Miss Vermont is next. So tell us, like, what's the future, like, what could the future look like? How do you continue to step up through the ranks?
So at Miss Vermont, now we have a lot of people competing. We have a fourth, third, second, and first runner up, I believe, and then the winner, who is the new Miss Vermont. And so, especially as one of the youngest people, I believe, in our class of Miss Vermont local title holder so far, it is definitely kind of jumping back into the little fish, into the big pond, since I'm one of the youngest. So I know it's going to take me a little while, possibly, for me to win, but I'm willing to grow and obviously be happy for the woman who wins. And yeah, so hoping top 5 would be great, but you never know on any given day.
So you've got Miss Vermont. What comes after that? Miss America?
Yes.
Okay. And then Miss Universe?
No.
No, is that a thing?
No, no, that's with Miss USA. Miss America is Miss America.
America. So that's the end of the line for this.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, do you are there coaches? How could you, like, let's say whether you title or not, right? At the end, how do you see your involvement maybe continuing in the future, helping other people or being involved in the organization maybe?
I definitely would love to help in the organization. Miss Vermont 2018, Julia Crane, she actually, I believe, got something signed and she joined the Miss Vermont board the day after she passed on her crown. So I want to do the same. I love it. I love Vermont. I love all the girls and all the women on the board. And I'd love to help change other people's lives too in the future.
Awesome. I think like we said at the beginning, you have a lot of stories to tell, and it was the bullying that gave you the motivation to do these great things and to sustain your positive attitude. So later in this series, we'll talk a little bit more about some of those challenges, and how that's molded you, how the negative experiences have brought you to where you are, in addition to the positive experiences that we're talking about today. So I think maybe in closing for this first episode, what would you have to say to another mom or another little girl that might be thinking, oh my gosh, that would be so cool, but not me, I couldn't do it. What's the first step for somebody to take?
Email, ask questions. If you told me that little 8-year-old girl in her first pageant that she was competing at Miss America's teen and that I was part of the Miss Vermont organization, I would not have believed you. I don't think I would have believed you 2 years ago. Just take the leap. It's such an amazing thing. And even if you don't win or you don't place, you meet so many amazing people and there are so many opportunities. Asking questions goes such a long way, especially with connections. You never know who people know or who they're talking to.
So
Yeah.
who would they call or email? What do we look up online? Who do we contact?
Or
Somebody wants to know how to get started or how to get into a pageant or what's near me. Where does somebody start? Just Google
oh,
pageants near me.
I mean, honestly, yeah, probably. Google is such a good source. Or Facebook if you have it. If you search up upcoming pageants, I can promise you there will probably be about 100 options that come up. They're all over. Maybe not necessarily too many in Vermont that are happening every week, but I know in New York, Massachusetts, they have one about every single weekend. And all of them all have Facebook pages and websites that have contact information and emails and who to talk to. It's very easy to find out information in the pageant community.
Okay, awesome. Is there anything else you would like to say in closing today?
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I can't wait for you guys to know more about me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I look forward to getting to know more about you and, sharing your story, and never forget that nobody puts Abby in a corner. Thank you.